I don't understand why. I'm sorry, guys. This is great content, by the way. Okay. All right, we should be back. If we're having any more issues, please let me know. But anyways, let's dive into this. First one off the list, I feel like we have to talk about him because he is like the anti-Semite, or so claimed. But I mean, we're gonna go and get into it. Nick Fuentes, who has really been circulating the rounds. You know, it's really interesting with Nick Fuentes because, you know, somebody I really listened to a lot, Dave Smith. I think someone that, or, you know, something that he said that was really prevalent was like, you know, we lost Charlie Kirk and now we have Nick Fuentes. And it's really interesting to see him and other conservative figures just kind of fill the hole of Charlie Kirk. Now, I wasn't, you know, necessarily the biggest fan of Charlie Kirk. I think he was more naive than anything. But, I mean, he was far preferable to people like Nick Fuentes or Candace Owens or whatever. So, but anyways, look, I don't think with Nick Fuentes is interesting, right? Because he has said different things. He's said that, you know, he doesn't hate Jews, but he also thinks that they control the media, etc. And I should make the distinction right now between like S tier and A tier. I think S tier, in my mind, how I'm thinking of it is like strictly hating Jews, scum of the earth. Fuck, I should have had Mark Levin. Type of shit, right? Like that's who I really think about when I think of anti-Semites, like true anti-Semites. Now, A tier is going to be more so, hey, we don't hate Jews, but we're going to kind of group everybody into this racial group, right? Similar to like if you were like, you know, black people are lazy or they don't tip or whatever, like that is in a sense racist because you are throwing all these things in, right? And then we have gay or B tier, which is basically just you're a normie, like you're a regular person that recognizes, hey, you know, I'm not saying that all Jews control media. I don't hate Jews, but I think there's some really sketchy things going on with the IDF and all that, right? And then we have retarded, which is basically a step above. I wouldn't even necessarily say a step above Zionist. I would say between gay and Zionist and just you're retarded, right? And then Zionist is Zionist. You know, loves the IDF, preaches all the Israel, you know, the pro-Israel lobby crap, right? Like if you criticize Israel, if you criticize the IDF, you're automatically anti-Semitic, or even just people. And I got some images here of the AIPAC tracker amounts, so we can go through that. But like just the people who, you know, clearly get support from Israel or clearly want this, you know, almost seemingly support that more than their own country, right? So anyways, Nick Fuentes, I would put him in A tier. I mean, let's just be real. It's, and you know, I think Coleman Hughes did tackle this, but I mean, not that I consider him really a genuine voice, but I do think he was accurate about saying that he does have two different personas, where he does have this persona where he goes on a podcast and he seems really level-headed, etc. And then he goes on the show and he does a shtick and he kind of, you know, I like to describe it as like that Modern Warfare 2 comedy, right? Where you're screaming the N-word. And it's, and like, you know, I think I kind of suffer from this as well. So I don't want to like bash on him too hard, but like at the same time, it does make it really hard to tell what exactly is going on. So we'll put him in A tier. All right, next, the king, the fucking potentially the anti-Semite, Adolf Hitler. You know, let me actually expand this a little more. I'm sorry, guys. Like I was saying before, this is my first time actually using the horizontal thing, so bear with me on all this. Please bear with me on all this. Okay. Yeah, for some reason, Steam Labs was like, yeah, you have to do it horizontal. I'm like, okay, fine. Yeah, we got to put him in S tier, right? I mean, is that even? I mean, 6 million, 6,000,000. That many Jews, however many. Either way, it was a lot. All right. No, I'm not a Holocaust denier by any means. I do think Eric, and we'll get to him in a little bit, but I do think Eric Weinstein said it best, where he was like, people who are, that class of people, like Jewish people or whatever, they do have to contend with the idea that like it wasn't an even number of Jews that were killed in the Holocaust, right? Like it wasn't at like 6 million. They were like, okay, we gotta stop here. There wasn't like it's a rounded number, right? So like obviously that's going to cause people to question that, right? But anyways, it's undeniable. He's definitely an S tier. Next, Joseph Stalin. Definitely S tier. Definitely S tier. He didn't necessarily target Jews themselves in the same way that Hitler did, but I mean, he did have. I don't even know if that's. Let me rephrase that. He didn't solely target Jews. Like he caused widespread famine and violence throughout all of Russia, which included Jews, right? But I remember from reading he did have a certain disdain for the Jewish people. So I think that, and just the number of deaths associated with that, puts him at that number, I think. I don't know what the number is off the top of my head. Maybe I should look that up. But yeah, definitely S tier for Joseph Stalin. Okay, Bobby Fischer. Bobby Fischer. One of the more famous self-hating Jews. Probably the most famous self-hating Jew, honestly. For those who don't know, Bobby Fischer was I haven't read that much on him, but from what I understand, famous chess player who did believe in the conspiracy theories surrounding the Holocaust denial, all that stuff. I mean, for him, it's similar to Kanye, where it was definitely more of a mental illness type of thing. So, I don't know, part of me kind of wants to give him a little bit of a pass on that. Because I don't think he necessarily hated Jews. I think he just was very questionable about, their influence in media or the Holocaust numbers or whatever. So we'll go ahead and put him in A tier. I almost want to put him in S tier because he was a self-hating Jew, right? Like that almost just makes it wilder, but we're just going to stick with that. Okay, Dave Smith, someone who has been frequently cited as anti-Semitic. Dude, you guys are going to ruin this in the middle of the podcast. Has been labeled anti-Semitic and a self-hating Jew, purely for criticizing Israel, which is, I mean, I think the criticism of Dave Smith has really been kind of the highlight of a dawn of a new age, where these media apparatuses are going to go. I mean, and this has always been the case, but I feel like in the day and age of the internet and podcasting, this has been even more true or more transparent, where they will really paint anyone who has anything to say against Israel or the IDF or whatever as anti-Semitic. I think, Dave Smith, obviously, he had the historic podcast with Douglas Murray, where, he basically, I mean, that was probably his biggest win of a debate, like, of all time. I mean, that is like the Dave Smith viral moment, right? Have you ever been? So, we're just gonna, but, kind of gay. So we're gonna make him gay. We're gonna put him in the gay tier. A little gay. I think him and Robbie have a secret little fling in the background. That's just my theory. Okay, Tucker Carlson. This is the man who actually. This is the man who won the contest for anti-Semitism, which is hilarious. I did not look into it too deeply, But from what I understand, he essentially won because he had Nick Fuentes on his show. I don't think I mean, I guess he's had Dave Smith as well. But like, I mean, I guess Daryl Cooper. Oh, we're gonna get into that too. We're gonna look up Daryl Cooper. I googled Daryl Cooper the other day, and I was shocked. I'm like, wow, Google actually labeled him as this. Tucker Carlson. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's at all anti-Semite. I think that's kind of ridiculous. He worked in Fox forever. He's worked in media forever. Yes, he was ousted out, but I don't think it was because of any anti-Semitic rhetoric. Knock it off. So, we are going to go with retarded for Tucker, because that's what I think of. Really, at the end of the day, that's what I think of Tucker Carlson. He's retarded. I'm sorry. He kind of just, unlike Dave Smith, who's gay, he doesn't really have a leg to stand on all this. He kind of just seems to go where the money takes him, and that's fine. He's a media guy, but like, he's not really a Zionist, but like, I feel like if he had not broken off from media and just stayed in media, it would not surprise me if he had just gone full Zionist. I kind of wish I could be Hassan Piker and just shock my dogs, like, but it's tempting. It's fucking tempting. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. Tucker, I think on the religious stuff is just, every time I've heard him talk about evolution or anything religious, he just comes off as an idiot. He's still touting about how he wants to make all drugs illegal, including cannabis. He wants to make porn illegal, like just no thought process behind it. Like, I just don't think he is a genuine person. So yeah, I think he's retarded. Sorry. Candace Owens, someone who I think, hasn't she won in recent or like in past anti-Semitic contest, the one that Tucker Carlson just won? I feel like she has. But I mean, anyways, I don't know. I listened to one Candace episode the other day and I couldn't even get through it. This lady's just, I mean, she's just a crackhead. She's like the black lady crackhead who like figured out how to seem normal. I don't know if she snorts it. I don't know if she injects it. I don't know what. Something's fucking with that bitch's head is all I'm saying. She won last year. Okay. That makes sense. But anyways, we're going to put Candace in the retarded category because she's retarded. I don't know. What was a clip I saw where she was like talking about like the bee people or whatever? I don't know. Like, you know, maybe that stuff is true. Like, I should be open-minded enough to like acknowledge that, you know, maybe those things are true. But like when she talks about like how she comes to revelations because of dreams, like, I can't take this woman seriously. So the lady's a retard. I don't think she's anti-Semitic. I think she criticizes Israel. I mean, I don't know. I guess she does talk about like how the Jews run media in the same sense as Nick Fuentes. So maybe that could, I could see how that would maybe categorize her as it. I don't know. I just, you know, to be honest, I haven't listened to enough of her to know. So we're just going to keep her, we're just going to keep her in the retarded category. I can't read the whole thing. Can she have a bonus for the you don't get to ask those questions thing? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, okay. And that's another thing too. It seems like she's kind of reversed her stance since talking with Erica Kirk. Belongs in the Fed category. Yeah, I think it's good to put her in retarded at the very least. I don't think she's full blown Zionist, but especially, I mean, and that's been really disappointing, right? And this is what I say about people like, you know, Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson. Fuck, I should have had Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh. Like, the reason all these people became famous in the first place is because they said the obvious quiet part out loud. Like, trans women aren't like biological women. Like, yeah, no shit. Nick Fuentes is like, there's all this Israel influence in American politics. Yeah, no shit. But, if the mainstream, the corporate press, the establishment doesn't talk about these things, yes, these people are obviously going to get that popularity. But then what happens? All their other crazy lunatic views get more of a pedestal because they were right on this one thing. And I think that's just dumb. So I think someone like Candace is a prime example of that. Okay, Miss Rachel. And I was doing some research on this because I actually wasn't sure what classified her as. Because I knew that she was like pro-Palestine, but like, or not, or I don't know. She maybe not even pro-Palestine. She was just against the IDF and against what was happening in Gaza. So, let's see. This I thought was interesting. I just have a couple. I couldn't find any tweets, so she must just be on Instagram, which tracks for someone like her. Okay, so this is a post from Miss Rachel. This was okay. So let's read the second one first. To anyone asking to work with me who hasn't spoken out about Gaza, thank you for the request. I'm not comfortable working with anyone who hasn't spoken out about Gaza. Much love and God bless, Rachel. Now, look, I think it's kind of dumb. Look, if the opposite were true, right? Like if she was hiring people who were like, condoning what was happening in Gaza or saying that, this is actually okay because of blah, 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 blah. That I could see being like, yeah, I shouldn't work with you. But to kind of say like, if you're not going to call this out, then I'm not going to work with you. That's pretty retarded. Like, look, I had like falling outs with people over the Charlie Kirk thing. But the reason I had falling outs wasn't because I was like, oh, they secretly think that Charlie Kirk. It's because they went on social media and was like blasting about like, yeah, this isn't a bad thing. He kind of deserved it. He had karma coming to him, right? Like there's a big difference between like posting something, keeping something to yourself, and not posting something. And yeah, it's pretty woke and retarded to be like, hey, I'm not going to work with people who don't post about this on social media. Like, I think one of the dumbest things that I do as a person is post my opinions on social media. Easily one of the dumbest things that I do. And it's a problem. It's a tick. I have a problem with that. I'll be the first to admit it. But it's not a smart thing to like post what you think online. It's stupid. And so this is from this next post. I'm sorry, this dog is driving me insane. I'm going to get you a shock collar and shock you like Hassan Piker. You know that, dude? It's going to happen. It's going to happen. This is from 6 weeks ago. I feel like this is probably, I don't know the time frame, but it was probably in the wake of her being on the anti-Semite list. And it makes sense, because she's a child person, like she's a child actor, TV show person, right? I don't even know what her show's called. I don't have kids, so I don't know this shit. But this is her post. Normal and just being a good person. Wanting kids to not be killed. Wanting kids to not lose limbs. Wanting kids to have food. Wanting kids to have homes. Wanting kids to go to school. Not normal and absurd. Accusing people of being anti-Semitic or paid by Hamas because they want these basic human rights for kids and people. Yeah, sure. I think that's fine. I think that's a pretty middle of the road opinion to take. But look, this lady does kind of scream wokeism to me with that first post. And also, she's like singing songs to children. So like clearly there isn't. Look, I don't think there's anything wrong with that profession. I went to school for video production, and one of the things they always told you is like never be above child work, and I think that's true. That being said, I don't think people who are in that industry, I wouldn't elect them to be president, right? Like, I wouldn't want them leading some scientific expedition, right? So I'm going to put Miss Rachel in the retarded category because she kind of is. Okay, Mia Khalifa. Ooh, people are getting bricked up over this. You know, honestly, she was like the one porn star I was never really a fan of. Like, I like, maybe I'm just that racist. I don't know what it is, but like, I was never really a fan of Mia Khalifa. Her tits were like super fake, and there's just nothing. It was just like I think the hijab really threw me off. She's like look, I think it was like the taboo of it that really put her into that category, right? But dude, I'm about to just, honey, come here. No, she's running away. Dude, you're ruining the live streams. You know that? You're ruining this. You're ruining this for people. But anyways, like I know that she did put up something where it was, or she posted something on Twitter where it was like, I hope, it was like a video of like what was happening to the people on October 7th, and she was like, I wish they could turn the camera so I could watch it in full screen, right? That's pretty hard. That's pretty hard to not put in A tier. Honestly, I'm torn between A tier and retarded. I'm not going to lie, because it's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell if this is someone who actually believes that or is just retarded and is told to believe that. I don't know. Let's just go ahead and put her in A tier, because that was a pretty wild thing to say. I think when you condone violence against a group of people, that's pretty bad. Okay, Netanyahu. Actually, let's just play this now. Let's just play this shit now.
I've got the perfect answer for the ADL. They are gonna have to listen up. What we did is we brought Netanyahu with us.
I mean, I'm in the Twilight Zone right now.
I'm in the 12.
Netanyahu, what do you have to say? What do you have to say to Alex Jones right now, Nick Fuentes and Ye? It was bad. It was bad for...
Khalifa is Lebanese, who Israel's kind of belligerent to. A tier justified. Okay. Well, still, I don't know. I think if you condone killing of people, that's pretty bad. So.
Have to meet with Nick and Ye. Okay. I had no idea your voice is gonna sound like that, Netanyahu.
I think it's funny because his voice actually sounds the complete opposite of that. It's like, you know. So anyways, yeah, I mean, obviously he's a Zionist. He's the Zionist. The Zionist. And I don't think he's retarded either. I think he's like, he is one of the people who is like, he's part of the shit, right? He's part of the system. Like, he's like, Netanyahu's not a stupid person. I don't think he's a stupid person. There are people in power who are stupid. He's not one of those people. I think he is a smart person. And yeah, he's definitely just a pure Zionist for sure. All right, Ted Cruz. Definitely a Zionist. What? I wish I had made these images bigger. I think it's $1.8 million taken from AIPAC, which is a lot. For shits and gigs, let's look this clip up with let's do this. Or
how many people live in Iran, by the way?
That's not Iran. I really should have pulled this clip up. Ted Cruz anti. Oh, here we go. Okay, let's just play this.
Which you are.
I did not.
Of course you are. And rather than be honorable enough to say it right to my
Let's restart it.
calling me an anti-Semite, which you are.
I did not.
Of course you are. And rather than be honorable enough to say it right to my face, you are in a sleazy feline way implying it or just asking questions about the Jews. I'm not asking questions about the Jews.
The obsession with Israel, when we're talking about foreign countries,
it's hardly an obsession.
You're not talking about Chinese, you're not talking about Japanese, you're not talking about the Brits, you're not talking about the French. The question, what about the Jews? What about the Jews?
Oh, like I'm an anti-Semite now.
Senator, you're asking the questions, Tucker. You're asking, why are the Jews controlling our foreign policy?
Senator,
that's what you just asked.
Hardly saying that, and I have.
That is exactly what you just said.
Well, actually, I can speak for myself and tell you what I am saying.
Good.
On behalf not simply of myself, but of my many Jewish friends who would have the same questions. Which is to what extent
it does come
It's interesting you're trying
across.
to derail my questions by calling me an anti-Semite, which you are.
I did not.
Of course you are. And rather than be honorable enough to say it right to my face, you are in a sleazy feline way implying it or just asking questions about the Jews. I'm not asking questions about the Jews. There's nothing to do with Jews or Judaism. It has to do with the foreign government.
Isn't Israel controlling our foreign policy? That's not about the Jews.
You said,
and by the way, you're the one that just called me, I think, a sleazy feline. So
he's more anti-Semitic than Tucker is.
I'm an anti-Semite, which you just did.
No, I just said, why is that the only question you're asking?
He's more anti-Semitic than fucking... like him making the correlation between Israel and the Jews. Like... That's almost the more anti-Semitic part right there.
You answer it. Give me another reason. If you're not an anti-Semite, give me another reason why the obsession is Israel.
I am in no sense obsessed with Israel. We are on the brink of war with Iran, and so these are valid questions.
But you're not asking about Iran or the
If I can finish, you asked me why I'm obsessed with Israel.
Yep.
3 minutes after telling me that when you first ran for Congress, you elucidated one of your main goals, which is to defend Israel.
Yes.
And I'm the one who's obsessed with Israel. I don't see a lawmaker's job as defending the interests of a foreign government, period. Okay. Any government, including the ones that my ancestors come from. So that's my position. That does not make me an anti-Semite. And
okay, anyways, that's enough of that. But you get the point. Definitely Zionist. Look, I think it's, I'm an anarchist. I obviously don't like any forms of government, but there is something very disturbing about the people that we elect, people that the American people elect, shilling for Israel. That's a huge problem. Okay, Trumpy. You thought Ted Cruz was bad. Holy shit, this man is a total Zionist. What is the... I'm about to just look these up. Do they have a Hall of Shame? Where's Trump? Let's do Trump administration. Okay. 200 here, you guys can't see this, but $230,473,622. I said that weird. 230 million essentially. Yeah, that's an insane amount. I think one of the most disappointing things about this administration has been Trump shilling for Israel. That's just been, look, I've heard people on the pro-Trump side still to this day say like, yeah, well, the Democratic Party was going to do it anyway. So, like, what if you're like a slave owner? You're like, I had to buy the slaves because they were going to get bought anyway. That's actually kind of a better argument, right? Like if your intent is like, I'm going to treat the slaves well, like I'm going to purchase these slaves, but I'm going to do everything I can to give them a good life. Like, I'm going to own them in technicality, but like I'm going to let them essentially be free people. That's at least a better argument than that. So yeah, I think that's been what's torn the base apart. Like it's just been such a disappointing thing for Trump to be taking this much money from Israel. It's it's crazy. Okay, JD Vance. The president-elect, I would guess, for 2028 has taken $167,000. $167,324. Numbers are hard, guys. Numbers are hard. What can I really say about JD Vance? He just strikes me as just disingenuous. This was the guy who was a never Trumper back in the day, and now he's, clearly just on the Trump train. I remember there was one clip that Dave Smith covered semi-recently where it was saying that, like, he was just talking like, that's politics, man. Like, that's politics, bitch, basically. And it's like, yeah, I think that's the most powerful thing about this administration is that they're saying the quiet part out loud. And there's almost like the anarchist in me is almost like that's one of the weird positives about Trump is that in his administration is that they just the fact that they're saying the quiet part out loud and just don't care. That's powerful. Powerful stuff. Okay, Kamala Harris. We're going to put her in the Zionist tier, obviously, because, I haven't really looked at any of her rhetoric around this topic. If I were to guess, while she was running for office, she would have been Israel shill. And then in the wake of that, probably flipping to more like, the pro-Palestine side. And probably flip back, because this woman has no standing or morals. I think it says $9.4 million. So there you go. What else can you say about her? She's not even really like a real person, so it's kind of hard to criticize her, honestly. Okay, Bernie Sanders! One of my least favorite people, by far. I'm going to put him in the retarded category. I debated on whether I should just make him a Zionist just for the fact that he's Jewish and probably aligns with that in some way. I have a really hard time believing that he's taken $0 from AIPAC. I feel like, whether maybe like his book deal or something, there was some way that someone in there was able to pay him, right? I mean, he's not a shill by any means, but he's in government. He's putting forth a lot of these democratic policies that, essentially give the government more power. So it's hard for me to concede that he's not at all involved with Zionism. But if we're going to take the AIPAC tracker at its word, we'll just put him in the retarded category because he is retarded. I've talked about this before, but one of the most disappointing things about my generation is how many people still love Bernie Sanders. Because look, he has like the old man power, right? He's like, I'm just this old gentle man. Like, I want to help everybody by increasing taxes and all of his socialist policies. I remember there was this clip, this part of the Lex Fridman interview where he talked about like how much I think he made like $2 million or something. And this man has like 3 houses, which is not bad at face value. But if you're a public servant, like, you probably shouldn't have that many houses. Like, when I think of public servitude, I think of like, you are doing this not because you want money, you're doing this because you truly want to help these people. Like, in that worldview, like, you should be as poor as these people that you're helping, right? Because like do the quote unquote Jesus thing, like you want to put these people in front of you, right? But that's never the case. That's never has been the case, never will be the case. And so I remember Lex Fridman was talking to him about his book, and oh my God, there have been very few times in my life where I've seen an interview give that much cover. Let's actually just look it up. Give that much cover to someone that they're talking to. Let's see if we can just pull that clip up. Okay, here we go.
It's Lola's birthday.
And we got an ad here. Yeah, fuck it. Let's just watch this. It's a goodie. This is a goodie.
Since running for president, you've often been attacked, especially from the right, about being worth, I believe, $2 million and owning 3 houses. So from my perspective, the answer to that is most of your wealth has been earned from writing books and selling those books. And you are one of the most famous politicians in the world. And so your wealth in the context in comparison to other people of that fame level and other politicians is actually quite modest. So what's your response usually to those attacks?
I mean, okay, come on. Come on. Are you kidding me? Have you ever seen that much cover? Yeah, people criticize this, but I'm just going to answer the question for you before you even get a chance to answer the question. My God, I should have put him in this list too. I got to do a part 2 or something, because every time I do these tier lists, like as I'm going through, I'm thinking of more people and I'm like, God damn it. And you can't add people to the program without resetting the whole thing, which is a nightmare. So anyways, okay, Joe Biden, we're going to put him in Zionist tier, obviously. I think he's at 11.7 million, if I'm reading that correctly. So if we were going to rank these by who's taking the most money, you would put Trump, Biden, Kamala, Ted Cruz, and JD Vance. And, honestly, I will say, like, not to give JD Vance any type of credit, but I will say a surprisingly low number for being vice president. Like it's almost like he took like the lowest percentage possible compared to Kamala, who just raked in. I mean, she's been in government longer, sure, like federal government longer, sure, but like that's just a crazy difference. So okay, Jesus Christ, going real old school here. I don't know what Jesus would do in this situation. Jesus would probably be the person who's like, hates all this shit. He'd probably just want peace. Which is kind of gay. So we're going to put him in the K tier. Next! Mike Huckabee. We're going to put him in the Zionist tier, obviously. Mike Huckabee, I mean, especially lately, he's been really putting it up for Israel, man. Like he's just truly been, like he's literally the ambassador to them. I mean, what was the thing? I think he was like, there was something where he was spending time in Israel over some big thing over the U.S. when the U.S. was having some kind of, I don't know, I don't remember the details, but interesting story about Mike Huckabee. I actually met Mike Huckabee when I was a child. Because my father had a position in government that was powerful at the time, in local government, I should say. And Mike Huckabee went around. He was touring for the presidential campaign. It must have been 2004. Yeah, it had to be 2004. He was 2004, 2008. I think 2004 had to be 2004, but or 2003. That 2004 cycle. But I remember seeing him and like shaking his hand, and he was pretty nice to me. I wish I was 30 years old when I had met him. I would have had some things to say to Mike Huckabee. But that is like probably the only famous person that I've actually, like famous political person that I've actually met in person, and I was a child. So, anyways, okay, Kanye West. This is a toughie. I won't lie, because he did say he did have the lyric that said, "I hate these N-words more than a Nazi." And I don't know if he's actually spewed hate besides that. But I mean, look, I think he has made implications about that. So I don't know. I don't know what we should do. I don't know what we should do for that. Let's put him in S tier. Sorry, Kanye. I saw that Lex. I saw that Lex interview, man. And I will say the one thing about that I thought was really cheesy was Lex was like, "You don't trust me? How can you not trust me?" It's like, dude, this guy just sat down for a podcast with you, and an hour in, you're expecting him to trust you, dude. There are people I've had on the podcast like 3 times, and I still don't trust them. Okay, like, no, Lex, not everybody's as naive as you are. But yeah, I mean, I think he has had some kind of. It's hard to say. Should they just be with Bobby Fischer though? Because it's hard to say if he's actually in that category. Fuck it, let's bring him down to A tier. If there was a middle ground between A tier and S tier, let's put it A tier. And let's watch a couple Kanye clips.
The thing about the red hat that drove me to a point of exhaustion, which was misdiagnosed by I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media it went to. We know I can't say that. It was a Jewish doctor.
He literally can't help himself. It's the funniest shit ever. It's so funny. Not even a half second. He didn't even like try to contain it. He was like when he was speaking, he was trying to contain it, and then like as soon as he stopped speaking, he was like, I can't. This is bubbling to the surface. I can't not talk about this. The Jews. It's pretty funny. And let's watch one more.
Part of
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
Shit.
Part of Universal Studios, 20th Century Fox, ABC News, CBS News.
This is a hard clip to find,
Pictures, Warner Brothers, ESPN Sports, Fox News, Washington Post, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, MTV Music Television, Nickelodeon, USA Today, Wall Street Journal, Comedy Central, NBC Entertainment, Google, what else do we have? Disney, ABC Kids and Family, YouTube, Los Angeles Times, Discovery Network, Paramount Pictures, Facebook, Huffington Post, Yahoo.
If he was a true G, he would have released the list.
Cosmopolitan Time, Touchstone, Associated Press, Pixar, Miramax, HBO, New York Post, LucasArts, MSNBC, DreamWorks Animation. Now, the thing is, I skipped over maybe about 5 of them because it was just unclear on this list. The red are the executives that are Jewish.
Okay, here's my question. What are the other colors? Because there was... What are the other colors there? The man has like yellow, green, blue. What are those mean? That was pretty funny though. Good old Kanye. You know, like I said, I think the man is the reason I think I put him down. I mean, Hitler is probably mentally ill as well, though. But I don't think Kanye necessarily hates people or hates Jewish people in the same way that maybe he does. I don't know. I don't know if he would. That's a toughie, dude. That's a toughie. I still can't decide. I can't decide if he should be A tier or S tier. He did talk a lot. I mean, Nick Fuentes did too, though. He talked about how much he liked Hitler. Fuck it. Let's put him in S tier. I'm going with my gut, and my gut tells me to put him in S tier. Okay, next. Daryl Cooper. Okay, before we do this, I have to show you guys this because I thought this was wild. Maybe this is not the case anymore. Oh, they changed it. Wow, they changed it. So okay, you see this part? It says Daryl Cooper, critic. Last time I checked, I should have saved a screenshot. Damn it. Last time I checked, this said Nazi apologist. That's who they're claiming Daryl Cooper is, a Nazi apologist. And now they have changed him to critic, which I don't even know if that's... I'm like, what? This guy's reviewing movies? Like, come on. I don't think that's even accurate, too. Like, he's a... Like, the Wikipedia is way more accurate. He's an American imposter. Okay, here we go. So Wikipedia didn't change it. Daryl Cooper is an American podcaster known for making Nazi apologist claims. This is absolutely ridiculous. Taking what happened during World War II and dissecting it in a way where you're not going to have bias and you're just going to say, this is just what happened. That's not being a Nazi apologist. You know, I read this book called Inferno by Max Hastings. And I do think like some of his later work has been kind of a little in that woke category. So I don't know how great of a source he is. But one of the things I really loved about the book Inferno is it was probably one of the most unbiased tellings of World War II I've ever heard. It just factually laid out what happened. And it laid out, these are the armies that committed rape and atrocities and all this stuff. And although the numbers obviously weren't equal, one of the things that I really took away from that book was that every single army, every single government that was involved in that war did horrendous things. And I think it's very childish for people to look at the U.S. or, the Britain or whoever, Canada even, to look at these people as like the good guys. I think that's like Star Wars level naivete. The fact is that all these governments in World War II and really any conflict, they have their own reasons for participating in these wars. They have their own agendas that is not benign. It is self-serving. And and these wars are also funded. These wars are also funded by taxes, and taxation. So that's not great either. And the claims that Daryl Cooper has made. He's putting out podcasts about World War II from the German perspective, the German Nazi perspective, and obviously people are going to take away from that saying, this is anti-Semitic, blah, 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 because he is talking from this point of view. But that's just dumb. That's just stupid. Like what? If Netflix puts out a movie from the point of view of a serial killer, does that make him pro serial killer? Like, no, that's just such a stupid argument. And he made like a tongue-in-cheek joke about how, Winston Churchill escalated the war more than he needed to. And I don't think that's an inaccurate claim. Pat Buchanan has talked about this. Several other people have talked about this. Where, Hitler invaded Poland, right? And that was a provocation to start the war, right? To get Britain involved. But there was a choice there, right? Like Britain didn't need to get involved. They were playing conflicts that that happen around the world that people don't necessarily need to get involved in. So you bet I'm an incel. Okay. I'm not an incel. I've gotten pussy in my day, and I'm in a relationship. So no, I'm not an incel. Bob is shitting on me. I am not a Protestant. No, I'm an atheist. Bob has entered the chat. He does not like me. That's okay. All right, Daryl Cooper. Where are we gonna put him? Let's put him in the gay tier because I don't even know if he's gay, but I think that's the closest description. The man isn't retarded. He's very intelligent. I do really hate a lot of his pro-government military takes, but that aside, I think he's right. I think he's good on the right issues. My issues, I'm saying I fuck, but like, come on, like it's prompted. I'm not going around saying I'm slinging dick. Okay, there's a difference. I was asked, I answered. I guess I could not answer, but I chose to. Suck a dick. Okay. Eric Weinstein. I am going to put him in the Zionist category, which is unfortunate because I really do. I am really a fan of both the Weinstein brothers. Daryl Cooper literally said the concentration camps was just handled poorly, and that was the reason so many people died. Okay. Does that mean that he doesn't think that the Holocaust killed people? Or like that that was the sole reason? I don't see how that I just don't see how that makes him anti-Semitic. I mean, that's just an observation. It's like, I mean, whether it was intentional or not, I mean, Jews still died in the Holocaust, right? I don't see how that makes him. That's kind of retarded. Anyways, Eric Weinstein. I know he does ultimately support Israel, which I think Brett does too, and that's sad. I think part of it does come from him being an atheist as well as Brett, and I do think this is one of the tragedies of the atheist movement, in my opinion, as an atheist, which is that I think a lot of times atheists will conflate, what is crimes of a government to crimes of a religion, right? So when they look at something like what's happening in Palestine, like, the Palestine terrorism, they'll say like that is Muslim religion doing violence. And I will say this, I don't think it's so look, I think the argument that like, would they do what they're doing if they weren't a Muslim? Maybe. I think them having a predisposition to a religion that just tends to not care about human rights, that maybe does make them more prone to violence. I think that's a fair argument. That's probably the fairest argument that someone on the Israel IDF side has. However, does that justify slaughtering people for their religion? Absolutely not. And yeah, so I mean, look, I don't think like religion is benign by any means. I think look at any religion, it has a lot of people take advantage of that and use it for nefarious means. But yes, I do think it is an overgeneralization that atheists tend to have, where they will look at, Christopher Hitchens did this a lot, where he criticized what happened with, the terrorism of Iraq or whatever, Saudi Arabia or whatever. He associated that so heavily with religion. And you can maybe make the point that like, yeah, okay, like maybe this wouldn't have happened as much, as severely without that religious bend. But the fact is, the main reason why we got attacked in 9/11 is because we had interfered and invaded in these countries a long time. It was backlash from that. I don't think it was just purely religion like Christopher Hitchens made the claim of. So that is a soft spot when it comes to not soft spot. That's a blind spot when it comes to the atheist perspective on these world conflicts. And I think Eric is guilty of this as well. I think he's made the claim that I remember he was debating Dave Smith, and he said that something to the tune of the rhetoric of the pro-Palestinian side and just the Hamas group is significantly more terrifying than the rhetoric of Israel and the IDF. And Dave had a pretty good response. It's like, well, fine, but like, look who's like getting the shit kicked out of them. And I think that's a very good point. I think that's something that, Eric, even during that, was like uncomfortable. And yeah, so I think that's a sad oversight for Eric Weinstein. But look, at the same time, I think you could have that balanced perspective and just say, both these things are bad. Right, like the actions of Hamas are terrible. The actions of the IDF in response are terrible. I think that's the distinction Dave draws. Right, is like is that he doesn't support Hamas. He's just making the claim that like this side is doing way more damage, and that's a fair assertion. Where Eric and Brett Weinstein kind of falters, they will say we need to take a side because they're boomers, right? Like they're maybe not even boomers, probably whatever the generation before that is. They're of that generation that it like feels like they have to pick a side, right? So they're going to pick the side that is quote unquote civilized or whatever, right? What the fuck? Okay. Brett Weinstein, I'll put him in the same category. Because I don't think either of these two people are retarded, but they do have that bias, and it's sad. It's sad that they have that, and it's like, why? Why do they have that bias? Okay, Erica Kirk, Zionist. Is she like? Yeah, she's a Zionist. Also retarded, but a Zionist. I don't even know if she's that retarded, to be honest. I mean, she was a model, which is a sign of retardation, but I don't think she was necessarily retarded. Because she's quiet. She's quiet on nah, that's not true. I actually didn't sit down and watch the Barry Weiss interview, so maybe I'm missing something there. But look, I mean, I think there's pretty, I don't even want to say evidence, but there's some circumstantial events around the death of Charlie Kirk that really make me question her legitimacy, both as a person and why she is in the place that she is. It's wild to me to think that anybody who runs a company would then put in the event of their death, give that to their wife. I think that's just crazy. I can't think of that ever happening. Like if you look at like people who are these, own these companies, I can't think of, I just can't imagine Jeff Bezos at any point saying, if I die, I'm going to give Amazon to my wife. It's just such a weird and wild proposition. And look, I mean, she was a model. She was associated with Trump really early in her career. I think I've read that, I don't have the information in front of me, but I think I've read that her family did have ties to Israel intelligence in some way. I don't really, like I said, I don't remember the exact details on that, but I mean, look, regardless of all that, her behavior post Kirk's assassination has been odd, to say the least. And it's very clear that Turning Point USA is a Israel shill. I know they take money from Israel. So I mean that honestly is enough to make you a Zionist. But yeah, Erica Kirk, I don't trust her. I do not trust this woman at all. It's weird. And like Matt Walsh saying like you're a demon if you criticize Erica Kirk. It's like, no. You know what? Like you can say that Charlie Kirk's assassination was awful. That's okay. It's okay to say that. You can also say that his wife is acting like a fucking a whore. Getting way too close to Trump and JD Vance, a little too close for comfort. I'll just say this: if my fiance wife, like if I died and she started getting that handsy with other men, like immediately after my death, I would maybe be a little, Apparently there are rumors that they were going to get a divorce too. So I mean, the whole thing with like she's having his baby and they released his book, like there are just so many things that are just off about this woman that I don't trust her. I do not trust this woman. Okay. Charlie Kirk, we're going to put him in the retarded category because, RIP, no disrespect to the dead, but the man was retarded. I've always said this. I think he was more naive than anything. I don't think like his rhetoric about like religion or drug use or homosexuality or anything, I don't think it necessarily came from a hateful place. It just came from a stupid place. Like, it's the people that I grew up with who went to Sunday school. They believed everything at face value that the Bible and their pastor and their teachers told them, right? They just took it all at face value. They regurgitated it. Like, it's hard to say what would have happened if he hadn't died, if he would still be with the, Turning Point USA, if he would have still stayed with that organization, or if he would have, sidestepped into something that was more akin to like the Dave Smith, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, sphere in that regard. But I mean, look, I just don't see him being someone who would have like taken this big stand, right? Especially someone who just would like say the most abhorrent things about like, like if your child gets raped, they should have to carry their kid to term. Like that's just an inhumane take. But like, again, I don't think he said that because he was like hateful of people, or he was like, he really hated, women getting pregnant out of having babies out of wedlock. Like, I think he was just naive. So yeah, I think the guy was retarded. Sorry. Okay, Dan Bilzerian. I hadn't actually looked into this too much until today, because like I had seen some clips and it was a little fishy. So here, let's watch a couple of these.
But if you say anything about Jewish people, you get canceled. They, look what they did to Kanye. I mean, so why are they such a protected class? Let me ask you that.
I don't think they are. I think they're a class that get targeted by people like you, and indeed by Kanye, who spewed horrible anti-Semitic nonsense. But yours, it seems to me, to be more insidious, because you're literally blaming.
So you think Kanye
with respect,
targeted
let me
them
finish.
And not the other way around?
You're literally blaming Jewish people for almost everything that's happened that you don't like in the world. That is the purest personification of anti-Semitism right there. That's what it is.
I kind of disagree with that perception, because I was actually talking to Grok today about these last couple people, because I wasn't super informed on their anti-Semitism. But I was like, I think there's a big distinction between hating Jewish people in the same way, like I think there's a difference between like hating black people and then attributing certain qualities to the race as a whole. Like, I think there is a difference in that. But anyways, let's keep watching this.
Well, when you have a religion that promotes supremacy, when you have a religion that says that you are better than other people, and when you have a religion that says it's okay to steal from other people as long as they're not Jewish, when you have a religion that says it's okay.
That's Christianity, dude. I mean, kind of. Like, maybe they don't explicitly say that, but I think that's kind of the logical conclusion of Christianity is like, oh, really any religion. It's like, oh, I have this belief system, this moral code that makes me morally superior to others automatically. Whether you say the quiet part out loud or not, that is kind of the essence of all religions. And also, I think the thing that Dan gets wrong here is that I think there's a big differentiation between the Jewish religion and Jewish people. I think you would actually find a lot of times if you meet like Jewish people, like culturally, like people who are culturally Jewish but not religious, like a lot of them tend to be atheists. A lot of them tend to be not practicing, right? They may have some kind of respect for them in terms of like, our people have been, segregated, XYZ, whatever, right? But I don't like, in the same way that like people who identify as Muslim, I don't think you can make the same correlation. I think that was more my point earlier. It's like, I don't think you can make that same correlation with Jewish people. Like, if someone's Muslim, 95% of the time they are going to be religious to some extent. If someone's Jewish, it's far less. So I think these are stretches in his thought, but
to rape people that aren't Jewish, when you have a religion that talks about having sex with, kids that are under 3 years old, when you have a religion that promotes these things and promotes supremacy, I think you're going to have problems. And you see that in Israel. Israel is a manifestation of that religion. And I think that religion is, it's terrible. I don't believe in white supremacy. I don't believe in Jewish supremacy. I don't believe in supremacy at all. And right now, I think you have massive Jewish supremacy.
You sound like a Nazi.
Piers is such a cock. Oh, I can't stand him.
I mean, why do you say that?
That's literally what Nazis would have said in World War II. They would have literally articulated their hatred of Jewish people and the reasons why in exactly the way you've just done.
But if you say...
Yeah, Piers is retarded. I think his Nick Fuentes interview was very apparent in that. I love that. I will say, I love the line that Nick had where it was like, he's like, well, you think, Pierce was like, what, you think making jokes about the Holocaust is okay? And then Nick was just like, what, too soon? It was just dead silence because it was like, what? Like, Piers is definitely one of these gatekeeper types where he's like, you can't joke about X, Y, Z, right? Yeah, let's watch one more clip before we make our decision. Because, like I said, this is someone I'm not super clear about.
That you're better than other people. When you have a religion that teaches you that you can steal from other people, that you can lie to other people that aren't Jewish, and you have two sets of rules, then you obviously are going to have, every excuse to be self-serving. You're going to have every excuse to be selfish. Because look, when you were a little kid, your parents, hopefully, they taught you, good morals. They taught you not to steal from people, whatever. But like, what if they didn't? What if they're like, steal from anybody that's not a Jew? Lie to anybody that's not a Jew. Do whatever it takes to, win. Like, if you are raised with that and you think that that's okay, look at these bat mitzvahs. They like teach the kids, like, you're better than everybody else. Like, that is a reoccurring theme in their religion. The problem with that is, you can start dehumanizing people. When you dehumanize people, you can, you can rationalize genocide. You can rationalize stealing. They're stealing land in the West Bank. They're doing all this stuff. And I think it's a religious problem. Judaism doesn't try and convert anybody. They just think they're better. They just think that we are the chosen ones. And basically, like, everybody is here to serve us. And so when you have that mentality, like, look at how they're treating the Palestinians. They're treating them like cattle. And so, like, you're going to obviously treat cattle differently than you're going to.
Okay. I get the gist. I think he's saying a lot of the same things that are in that first one. So, keep that for now. Let's just go ahead and put him in A tier. Like, I don't think he necessarily hates... I think it's similar to Kanye where he's kind of that blurred line, but I think he is at least making the distinction between Israel and the Jewish religion, and as opposed to Jewish people. I do think he is kind of conflating. I mean, not kind of. He is conflating in a lot of ways, but I don't sense any like hatred the same way that I think that's a qualifier for S tier. So we'll go ahead and put him in S tier. Okay, Ben Shapiro. We're going to put him in the Zionist category, obviously. I mean, do I really even have to say, like, do I even have to say at this point? Like, come on. We all know. We all know what's going on. Okay, Jake Shields. I'm going to put him in A tier for a couple of reasons. Because, I mean, he... does have some conspiratorial theories and kind of has the same problem as Dan Bilzerian, where he kind of groups everybody together. That being said, he has been on numerous podcasts with Jewish people. And he's seemed respectful of that. I know he's questioned a lot of, he's definitely would be labeled as a Holocaust denier. So I mean, sure, I don't think that's inaccurate, but again, I think there's a big distinction between questioning the events around the Holocaust and hating Jewish people, like people next year. Okay, this is what's this guy's name? I have it on my phone. I have the name on my phone. Owen Benjamin. There you go. Because I actually didn't know this guy really, and somebody pointed out. I know this is again, I don't know a whole lot about him, but I do know that he it seems like he has preached white supremacist type of stuff in his rhetoric and his whatever. So we'll just go ahead and put him in S tier. We'll go ahead and put him in S tier. Okay, last one before we wrap this up. We are Bryce Mitchell. We're just gonna go ahead and put him in S tier. Definitely, he is the guy who famously said Hitler was a good guy. He clearly hates homosexuals or despises them to some extent. Let's just watch this clip.
Hitler, hell and the Nazis. I really don't think that he was, because I honestly think that Hitler was a good guy based upon my own research, not my public education indoctrination. I really do think before Hitler got on meth, he was a guy to go fishing with. He fought for his country.
Wait, what was the meth part?
Purify it by kicking. I really do think before Hitler got on meth.
Before he got on meth. The meth is what sent him over the edge. Not only though, he was cool before he got on the meth. The meth was the problem. Okay, dude.
He was a guy to go fishing with. He fought for his country. He wanted to purify it by kicking the greedy Jews out that were destroying his country and turning them all into gays. They were gaying out the kids. They were queering out the women. They were queering out the dudes. They were, you know what her first tranny surgery ever was? Happened to be in Germany before Hitler took over. You know,
is
the
that Jake
books
Shields?
That everybody makes fun of Hitler burning. You know what the books was?
No,
Queer
Roy
books.
Delgado.
Hitler burned queer books because Hitler didn't want a bunch of queers destroying his nation. They can't produce children.
But what about...
Oh, classic. Classic clip. Oh, God. Yeah, I'm comfortable putting him in S tier. When you talk about like purifying, whenever you talk about, I mean, and Nick Fuentes has kind of said this too, but again, I think the differentiation between Bryce Mitchell and Nick Fuentes is Nick Fuentes does have this shtick. He does have this thing where it's hard to tell if he's being genuine or not. And I think that kind of gives him not even a pass, but it does kind of question if he's truly this big anti-Semitic. Bryce Mitchell, however, seems to be very transparent. Very transparent in his feelings towards that group of people. Okay, guys, that's the podcast. Not even a podcast tier list, whatever. We'll do another one of these at some point. Usually I do a game stream at this time, but I've been meaning to get around to this thing forever. So we're finally doing it here. If you like what we do, like and subscribe. Drop what you think in the comments. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Let me know. I think the rest of this week we are going to be dead with the holidays. I'm off work, Wednesday through Friday, and then the weekend it's just a terrible time to try a podcast. So, but I might be doing I'll probably be doing some game streams the week before New Year's Day. I'm not sure if I'm off work, but if I am off work New Year's Eve day, I'll definitely stream that. I recently got into Baldur's Gate 3, which is an awesome game. It's a fantastic game. I can 100% see why it won Game of the Year. So we'll be doing that. But anyways, have a good night, everybody. Peace.